Take it to 10.
Spider-Man No Way Home is finally out, and what you guys saw was just a little compilation of me and my friends' night at the movie theater. It was great, but we're not here to talk about our experience really. Well, we are, but we're here to talk about the movie in general. Like, the movie is finally out, and even now, I went to the movie like hours ago. It still feels unreal just sitting here in my room just thinking, wow, I really got to go see Spider-Man No Way Home. It's insane, but I know what you guys are waiting for. You're here for the non-spoiler review, so you know what? I took the time this one. It's going to be a lot more constructive, a lot more professional. So let's get right into the good. It's going to be super hard for me to break down what's good about this movie without completely spoiling it. And I don't want to do that to you guys. I want to spoil the people who may or may not have seen the movie at this point. I mean, it did only come out like a day ago. But I think this is one of the single goodest things that this movie did was that it fixed so many of the problems with Tom Holland's Spider-Man in general. Throughout the whole MCU in his little trilogy now, Tom Holland's Spider-Man has always, while I've disagreed with it, to an extent, he has always felt like just an Iron Boy Jr. Like, even in Far From Home, we have him being called by Tony Stark the next Tony Stark. In Civil War, he wanted to prove himself to Mr. Stark. In Homecoming, his suit, and Civil War, his suit was made by Stark Tech, completely overpowered, and his whole arc in Homecoming was pretty much just trying to prove himself to Iron Man that he's worthy of being an Avenger. Even in Far From Home, while he makes his own suit, they have him listening to Back in Black, something Iron Man would listen to while he's making his suit using Stark's technology. And even in that movie, he's getting handed Edith from Tony Stark. And I know they had a good relationship, but is Tony Stark really the smartest guy for handing his entire weaponized fleet to a little kid at that point? And being called the next Tony Stark? Throughout his entire trilogy, Tom Holland has always really been Iron Boy Jr., now that I'm looking back at it. But in No Way Home, he is fully given the capacity to excel on his own. With everything that's going on with Mysterio in the world and these villains from these older Spider-Man movies, Tom Holland, he can't rely on Stark Tech, and it's just him and his friends, even in Doctor Strange, I guess, but Doctor Strange, he's not always holding Peter's hand. He actually doesn't really hold his hand that much, but I don't want to get into spoilers, like I said. Tom Holland in this movie, it's really him on his own dealing with the consequences of his actions of trying to lead a double life, like Strange said. His friends are getting affected, his family is getting affected, he himself is getting affected, and the whole world is getting affected because he wants to live this life where he doesn't want people to know he's Spider-Man, but he wants a few people to know he's Spider-Man, and he just wants to have his cake and eat it too. So I feel this movie really does a good job of maturing Tom Holland into actually becoming Spider-Man, not Spider-Boy. Another thing I feel like this movie really did good or great on was that it actually made me believe the relationship between Peter and MJ. In Homecoming, I mean, the relationship was like not there at all. It was non-existent because, obviously he was focusing on Liz. And Far From Home is where they really try to convince us that, yeah, these two kids like each other. They want to be together. And while their chemistry was great together, because the actors are obviously dating in real life, so obviously their chemistry is going to be good, I don't feel like it really translated well in most of the scenes they shared in Far From Home. While they were endearing at times, it was just kind of awkward. Like, I mean, they are teenagers, I get it. They're both kids, probably first time Peter's had a girlfriend, and no, Liz doesn't count. It was just kind of awkward. Like, I didn't really feel like these two kids really love each other like they say. But in No Way Home, like, you fully see that. MJ and Ned, I guess you could say he loves Ned too, are by his side the whole time. And they really are just there when Peter needs it most, when he's at his lowest in his film. And I feel this movie, like, they actually made me believe, like, yeah, Peter and MJ really do care about each other, and I can actually see that now. So I'm glad that this movie actually made me believe it, since MJ is obviously a big part of these last two movies. So, I mean, if she's there, it needs to be believable, and this movie actually did make it believable. Something that I think No Way Home actually handled really well was the return of villains from other franchises. All of these villains, especially ones from The Amazing Spider-Man, where I feel like they might have had what consider to be the weakest villains among the trilogy of, not trilogy, it means like in all of the Spider-Man movies that we have seen so far. But I feel like all of these villains are brought back excellently. Like, I literally have nothing wrong with how they are brought back. And these villains, it really gives them the chance to really shine again, even if they have previously shined before. And all of these villains, like, normally fan service is kind of a bad thing, and obviously bringing these villains back is just pretty much fan service. But it is fan service, organic fan service with a purpose. These villains aren't just here and be like, oh look, it's the Green Goblin from exactly how he was. Oh look, it's Electro, Lizard, Sandman, blah 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 blah. No, these villains are brought back with a hint of familiarity, but they are made more modern and just better in general. Like, these villains, like, they feel like new. They like James Fox said, it's that new. Like, these villains, they feel so organic and new that halfway through the movie I was like, oh shoot, we've seen these villains before, but like they feel so different and new, and it's just excellent. Also, the fight scenes in this movie that just popped in my head. I didn't even write it down. The fight scenes in this movie are the best that we've seen from Tom Holland's Spider-Man to date. I don't know if I want to say some of the best Spider-Man action scenes that we've seen to date, but I don't know. That could change with time. But this movie, I'm not gonna tell you who he's beating up, who he's getting beat up by, but every single fight in this movie, it just feels so brutal. Like, this movie has a lot of stuff that we haven't really seen from Spider-Man, where it's just hand-to-hand combat against other foes using hand-to-hand combat, and like it's just brutal. Like, people are getting picked up, suplexed through apartment buildings, flipped over their heads, and like they're just pounding them just horribly. It's just like, it reminded me of just like something like Arrow, Daredevil, with just brutal fight scenes that you can just feel the impact with each hit, and it's just like you kind of cringe at the fact because you're like, God dang, this person's getting beat up. Holy crap! And I feel like this is something that we've been asking for the longest time with Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Is just for him to be dark, not really dark, just more mature in tone. And obviously we don't want to see Spider-Man going around beating people into a pulp, but we just want to see Tom Holland just delve into that darker aspect of Spider-Man, like we saw Tobey do. And it's just, oh my God, the fight scenes in this movie are also they're just amazing. And also with the swinging. Oh my God, the swing is finally good for Tom Holland. We actually get scenes of him swinging. I don't know why they've held it from us this long. It's like someone at the top just had something against Tom Holland swinging, but it's just good. Like, I always knew that they could make it good, like The Amazing Spider-Man, but they just refused in Homecoming. They refused in Far From Home, and we actually can see him be creative with his webs. I mean, his webs is like the whole point of Spider-Man, and we've barely seen him be that creative with them, except for the end near Far From Home. But he does some creative stuff with them, and it's just finally good to see this Spider-Man swinging around New York City like we've always wanted him to. Alright, there's not much I can really talk about without going spoiler territory, so I'm just gonna move on to the bad with this movie. I mean, every movie has its bad, so let's just get them out of the way so we can get to the conclusion. No, guys, that wasn't a joke. Currently, at the moment, I cannot think of a single bad thing about this movie. Like, I've been sitting here for like the past like 30 minutes just trying to think of what I dislike about this movie, but like I really can't say. I mean, obviously, you can take in mind like I just saw the movie, so it might be the honeymoon phase. I am going to see it again later this week, but I mean, I guess I gotta have something to pad the runtime out on this video. The first act was kind of long and so, but no, because it was. I see this movie's hard. It's hard for me to dislike the movie because I just love it that much. So no, we're gonna do a little something special. I'm gonna skip to just the conclusion because I can't really think of a single thing bad about this movie. I think this movie was really exceeded my expectations and just surpassed them. So, might be biased. Who knows? Maybe in the spoiler review that I do with the guys, I'll come up with some more bad things. But currently, at the moment, No Way Home gets a pass on that. Spider-Man No Way Home is a movie that me personally I've been waiting for nearly 2 years, and I'm sure everyone else can say the same. This movie is just so much hype and mystery surrounding it. Just a single mention of No Way Home had us just fed for weeks, just asking for more and more, just always wanting more hype, more mystery, just something about this movie. And now that we got it, I don't know what to do with myself. It's like this movie's been like on the single thought on my mind for as long as I can remember at this point. Now I've seen it and it's amazing. Like this movie is truly amazing, spectacular. Like this is such a good Spider-Man movie. I love it so much. I can't wait to go see it again. I'm actually gonna buy the Blu-ray for when it comes out. I never do that. It's Sterling's thing. But this movie is just amazing. If you have not seen this movie, this is the movie that you most definitely 100% have to see. Probably this is gonna be the best movie of the year for me. For me, walking out of the theater, I was like, dang, this is the best Spider-Man movie. I still stand by that now. I mean, with time it could change. I'm still not sure if it's the best Marvel movie, but if it's not, it's in the top 3. This movie was just so special, and I'm just so lucky that I actually got to experience it on opening night and with all these cosplayers. So shout out to Props and Heroes. They came down to our theater and just they cosplayed. It was super fun. We got a lot of pictures like you saw in the beginning. So just thank you for them for just making our night. Guys, go see No Way Home. I can't wait to talk about spoilers with you guys in just a couple days. Just wait on. That video is just going to be super fun. But leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you've seen the movie. Or if you haven't seen the movie, just I hope I didn't spoil it for you. Hope I didn't give anything away. Go see this movie. It's something you really need to see. I'll see you guys with the next one.